Welcome, everybody, to another Get Off My Lawn podcast. It's Thursday night. It is just a tad bit after 8 o'clock, but sometimes these things happen. Sometimes we just want to make sure that we get everybody who is joining the panel to be here and be in before we get rolling. So I am your host, John Anderson. We've got a fun panel full of people and what hopefully is going to be a fun but yet interesting, thought-provoking, and dare I say it, maybe even serious at times conversation tonight. Real quick here, we're going to go through the normal stuff that we always do as the notifications go out to everybody and we get a few people out there joining us in the chat. Let's see here. I want to pin that to the top too. There we go. All right. So let's see here. A couple things that we like to go over real quick. We'll get that ticker going across the bottom. Make sure that you are out there. If you're watching us live, that you are joining in the live chat. You can do that on Facebook and YouTube both, and see those comments in real time. Make those comments in real time, and then we get to see them too. So that's very cool. If you want to send us emails, if you notice at the bottom of the screen, the email address did change because we've got a new email address to go with the new brand here. The Sandhills Media has now replaced Sandhills Shooters. So the email address is NE for Nebraska, NE Sandhills Media at gmail.com, because without the NE, that one was taken. So I had to go be a little more original. We don't have any Sandhills Media gear yet on the store, but if you want some of the old Sandhills shooter stuff, we do have some of that still available. Haven't pulled it yet. You can get that legacy swag over at blackswantactical.com and use the discount code Sandhills to get 10% off your order. Now, I've never asked Crumpy, but I'm guessing that you can probably get 10% off your whole order, even if it's not Sandhills stuff. So don't just look at my stuff. Go see everything that's out there on blackswantactical.com, but make sure that you do go check out the Sandhills shooter stuff and Sandhills Sweetheart stuff as well. We've got all kinds of cool green ribbon lymphoma cancer stuff. So like the coffee mug. Her fight is my fight. I like to show that one off because it's so cool and it's such a big mug. And I don't care how big your hands are, you're going to at least get 3 fingers, if not all 4 fingers, in the handle of that sucker. It's a good one. Another thing that we're very proud to announce, as always, you can find us on the Self-Defense Radio Network, along with a host of shows that are way better than this one, in my opinion. But go check that out, sdrn.us, and find all kinds of fun pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, pro-freedom podcasts there. And then I think that's pretty much it. We're going to get that off the screen. We're going to say hello to a couple people real quick before we do. We are live on 2 places at once tonight, and that is because of our sponsors. So tonight we're brought to you live by Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive guide to aid new shooters and veterans alike to get up to speed on the safe use of guns. With over 115 illustrations and 266 pages of content, this book is very comprehensive. If you're interested in learning more about Decoding Firearms, you can visit johnpetrolino.com/decoding-firearms. Decoding Firearms is available for sale on Amazon as a paperback or a full-color Kindle version. You can be sure to pick up a few copies for your friends and family members that want to get into the shooting world. And those of you that are following on the NFOA stuff or following Tony Simon and all of his places with The Second is for Everyone and Diversity Shoot, you may have seen a copy of that he brought, a signed copy that he brought with him to Nebraska to give away at the Diversity Shoot in Omaha. And he did give that away. And there's a picture there on his stuff of the winner, and NFOA's page has also shared that picture, so you can go check that out. So that was pretty cool. Somebody that hadn't planned on even purchasing a firearm came out and spent some money there at Athena Arms in Bellevue, bought a firearm, and is anxious. I've spoken with her. She's very anxious to get to her class, learn how to use it properly, responsibly, and then take the course for a carry permit. So welcome to the family. You know who you are. All right, let's get some panelists introduced here and kick this booger off. So first off tonight, we don't have him for a long time. Hopefully we'll have him for a good time. So Squibload is with us at least for now, and he may have to duck out because he's at work tonight, but for now he's with us. So what's up, sir?
Not much. Thanks for the panel invite. Yeah, working hard tonight to make sure that Americans can go out there and spend their hard-earned money on American-made goods, and not making YouTube videos with excuses about why we can't get the stuff to the store or anything like that.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for all your hard work. Now I just wish that they could finish the vehicles. Put some chips.
They're trickling into the dealerships, at the rate at which we're making them. We've had our orders cut back, but we're still running 3 shifts, and just like when we couldn't get spare parts for months, or when we had labor crunches, or when we couldn't get plastic in. We found creative ways to maintain, and there's really no excuse for any American manufacturer for not getting creative. But right. I digress.
Right, exactly. So yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, the worldwide microchip shortage is hitting just about every industry, including the auto industry. So
yeah, it'd be probably better if we just made those over here.
Wouldn't that be handy? But can you imagine what the price would do if we had to pay American workers American wages to make those?
I mean, but see, that money goes back. That money goes back into the economy more so than people in the service industry and other things like that. Not saying those jobs aren't necessary, but they don't put money back into the economy the same way. The other thing is, we have been competitive. We've got a factory over here that makes small cars. They were going to move it to South Korea, and the union and the management got together and they said, we can find a way to run this place and be competitive with those foreign wages. And they were able to keep the American jobs and keep making the cars over here and be able to compete. America can do it. Very cool. It's just a matter of perspective. Some people will whine and cry over their Walmart item going up 5 cents.
Yeah.
But it makes a world of difference. You might not think so because you don't live anywhere near a factory, or the one factory in your county closed up 20 years ago and you've got a bad taste in your mouth about them. But American manufacturing is the backbone of our economy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that there's going to be some pushback, as always, of the cost going up when we start to produce things here in the States. But I still think that we should try to do it as much as we can. All right, Squib, thanks for being here. And I know that you're going to have to duck out at some time. So at any point, you don't even have to cut in. If you just need to go, we'll understand. But thanks for being here while you're here. Next up tonight, we've got Defense Dad reporting in from the capital city. How are we?
Oh, doing pretty good. Just got home from work a little bit ago and just going to enjoy the show tonight, hopefully.
Perfect. I'm going to turn you back up just a tad because now we're being a little quieter. Okay. Or it could be that there was a motorcycle driving past my house.
No.
It was just being noisy.
How's that?
Nope. Perfect.
All right.
All right. I think it's perfect. And I've got a brand new mic tonight too. So if anybody thinks that I'm not coming through clearly or loud enough, or if I'm too loud, guys, let me know out there in the chat. Next up, also coming to us from Nebraska, from a bunker in an undisclosed location. It may not even be Nebraska. He won't tell. That's the problem. We don't even know where this guy is right now. But I know he's deep underground in a very safe place. And judging by the stuff in the background that obviously doesn't get touched, YouTube, don't worry. But I think he's in a pretty safe bunker over there. So what's up, Pat?
Oh, not much. Just got done servicing a couple pivots, and yeah, glad to be on the show tonight.
All right, thanks for being here. And then we've also got a guy who I tell you what, if there's a better name that he gave himself in the little green bubble in the bottom of his window, I don't know what it could possibly be than the fashionably late Paul. Paul Lathrop is here from the Polite Society podcast and Second Amendment Foundation. What's up?
Not much, man. Just kicking back. I I'd forgotten it was getting close to 8 o'clock in the Central Time, the only time zone that matters.
The only one.
So when I got your message, it was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be in the studio. And I rushed in here. I'm sorry.
It happens. It's all good. It happens. We were going to have a couple others tonight, and Travis may or may not show up late. We'll see. I know he had some people roll into town that he's hanging out with that are just in for the evening, and I think doing some supper. So we may see Travis get in here. We may not. We'll see what happens. I did have another special guest that has not been in our podcast yet. And, it's probably for the best that he's not here tonight, because once I introduce him, he's going to take up a whole night just fielding questions and comments, and that's going to happen too. But this is our grassroots rep out of Kansas City. He's the grassroots representative for NRA-ILA. And so his name's Kelvin. Very cool guy. I've met him a few times. Super cool guy. But he's traveling and not able to join us tonight. So, but yeah, we'll probably devote a whole evening to him when his schedule allows it, because I know that a lot of people have questions and comments. And he's aware. He gets it. He knows. There's nothing you can say to him that he hasn't heard before, I promise. But we're gonna have a whole night just talking to Kelvin here sometime. All right, who's out there in the chat so far? On the Facebook side, I see Michael, and that's it. If you're watching on Facebook and it looks like 5 of you are, then only one of you has dropped a comment. So you really should get in there and drop those comments while we're live. We can see them. We can hang out. We can actually interact. You can talk to us. We can talk to you. It's a beautiful thing. Way better than TV and radio. On YouTube, we've got Patriot in the Dark. I see you. We've got Jeff Minig is here. Pat's out there and in here. Defense Dad out there and in here. Agorizer. Who else? Paul's out there and in here. G23. Keith Gregory. Tacos and French fries. I just ate, but now I'm hungry. Wheeled and Well Armed. What's up? And probably a whole lot more will be jumping in. Jeff Moeller's out there too. So, all right. I'm going to quit naming names and just get on with it. There's been a lot of talk, and if you've got a social media account, Facebook, I know, because that's the one I have. I don't know about Instagram or Twitter. You guys can tell me how those are going, or any of the others. But I do know on Facebook that there's been a big push lately to cut back on what they are calling misinformation. And even the White House has come out and said they are identifying, I don't know if it's individual posts or accounts or what, flagging them and having Facebook or whoever label those or take them down. I don't know what exactly is happening with those, but I mean, this is a bad thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care what camp you're in. If you're okay with the government telling the social media companies what posts to allow and not to allow, you and I do not see the world the same way, because this is not okay. And I don't care who you are, where you're from.
If they're going to let the government say, let's just first say the very first account that needs to get flagged and deleted for misinformation is one from the president. The whitehouse.gov has got to go.
Yeah. Or Miss Jen Circlebacky.
Yes, exactly.
So absolutely. So I meant to pull these up, and I didn't pull up the dictionary.com page. So I'm not going to read them word for word off dictionary.com. But let's talk about, first of all, the differences between misinformation and what they actually are. Disinformation. So misinformation is simply info that's not true. It's just wrong. That's all there is to it. You can say things and you can believe them, but you can be misinformed, right? I mean, it's for the longest time, we told people that the universe revolved around the earth, right? I mean, that was just the way it was. People were misinformed. They weren't intentionally trying to lie to anybody. They just got bad intel and they repeated it. We see that a lot so those of you that don't know, on my Facebook page, sometimes I like to have a little fun and screw with people. judge me. I don't care. That's how I am. So sometimes I like to post some stuff like from pages like Babylon Bee or Duffel Blog or some of those satire pages, and they make it look like a real headline or something. People eat that up. The comments, I mean, it really enrages people. And then how many people share it? And I'm sitting there laughing. And for those of you that are sharing those and don't actually check them out and do a little research on it, or you don't recognize the website it's from is satire, I'm laughing at you and calling you bad names, probably something, like a not smart donkey. That's a dumbass. I'll say it. I'll break my own rule for a second. Because that's just what happens, right? Now, that doesn't mean that the people that are sharing it are trying to convince all of their friends that something that's untrue is true. They're not intentionally trying to deceive anybody. That's what misinformation is. So it's my position that you shouldn't be reprimanded or disciplined for posting misinformation, because you cannot intentionally post misinformation. If you know it's not true, it is not misinformation. Then you're not misinformed. Then it becomes disinformation, which is a whole different kind of thing. Then it's propaganda. You can intentionally spread disinformation. In fact, if you're spreading something that you know to not be true and it's not satirical in nature, and for those of you that don't know satire, that means that we're making fun of something on purpose. And so if it's not satirical and you're intentionally trying to fool people, then you're deceiving people. That's called disinformation. So I think that we can have some fun, but this is still a serious topic because people are getting put in Facebook jail or Twitter jail or whatever they have over there, caged up. I don't know if it's a bird cage, how Twitter works. Just because they're sharing things that are getting flagged and whatever. I got my first 24-hour sentence the day before Tony Simon rolled into Omaha, and I wasn't able to post stuff about the diversity shoot coming up, because not only did it affect my Sandhills media page, but it affected me being able to post on the NFOA page, on my own personal page, anything that I was an admin, any part of, I couldn't like or comment or post. I could read them and that was it. So I was like, what's the guy from Marvel Comics, the Watcher? It's not Oahu, it's something like that. That's an island. You guys out there that are nerds, you'll know. Anyway, so that's because what?
I said you are correct, sir.
It's something like that. So anyway, yeah, I could view, but I couldn't do anything about it because of a post that they said was misinformation, basically. And so where do we draw that line? What's misinformation? What's intentionally deceptive? That's really what it comes down to. We're not going to go around the horn. We're just going to have a discussion where everybody kind of gets a chance to talk. But I mean, there's a couple things that I want to talk about. Some of it's related to the coronavirus and the syringe, right? The jab. Some of it's related to guns and other stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of crap floating around out there that people are intentionally being disingenuous about. So why is there such a big push against misinformation, which by its very definition is innocent in nature? Anyone?
About a month ago, I had a video pulled down by YouTube. They gave me my first warning. They said 3 more and the channel's gone. Now, I'm not monetizing anything. This isn't one of those boo-hoo things. Oh, I didn't make money crap that you hear so much of. This is just you're kidding, right? Their reason is because of misinformation. They say that the video spread misinformation about the virus, and that they think that I just did it. I didn't do it intentionally, that I just didn't know, and that's why I'm getting my first warning. Well, I sent in whatever it was, you can contest it. Mm-hmm. It's been 3 weeks. Now, I published the video in January, and a month ago is when they hit it.
Right.
So if they took that long to figure out that then I don't expect them to respond. First off, my channel's so small, they probably won't. But next is, if they took, 7 months, then they could take 7 months to respond. My thing is, all I did was tell a story about something amusing that happened with related to the situation where somebody did something that was, I thought, quite ridiculous, and I told the story about it. At no point in there did I say, I'm a doctor, I'm a representative of the government, I'm, in the health department, anything like that. At no point did I was simply telling a story about something absolutely just ridiculous that happened. And that was I don't even know that they reviewed it. I don't know if somebody reported me. I just don't know. Of course, they're not transparent. They're not transparent with me. They're worse with the audience than they are with creators about transparency, consistency, integrity, not being hypocrites. But social media is run, the big platforms, the one that everybody goes to, are run by people who have an agenda.
Right.
The smaller ones that aren't competitive because these people don't know how to run a business or something, I don't know, but nobody wants to go to them. Not the creators, not the viewers. They're not being competitive. They may have more ethics, or they may be more open-minded, or they might say, it doesn't matter what your idea is, we're going to allow it as long as you're not, breaking the law or something in one of your videos. But they're not doing anything to be competitive with these big, like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, so that people want to go there. And I think it's just their business model, really. You can only put these sorts of videos on, or you're only limited to this, or
that might be some of it. I think some of it too is that now that the wheel's been invented, there's platforms that work, then it's really hard to come out with something that's the same. So even the one that was, MySpace was popular before I ever heard of Facebook, and I've heard it's still up. I have not been on a MySpace page in decades, well, over a decade. But I've heard it's still up, but everybody left and went to Facebook. And I don't know that necessarily that Zuckerberg did a better job. Clearly there's no music when you click on my page or anything like that. It's just, for whatever reason, that's the one that took off. And so it grew, it became what it is, and now it's such a giant that to try to get anything else, get a toehold, is virtually impossible. Now, I think those sites, the alternatives, I think they're important. I think it's good that they're there, especially ones like Parler. What's the other, MeWe and those, very important. And I think that in the future they're going to grow some. The more people that find out about it, the more people that find out they're not censoring their users, I think that's going to be a draw. The biggest reason why I don't go, and I've said this before, but for anybody who's listening who's new or hasn't heard me say this yet, the reason why I don't leave Facebook and YouTube is because this is where the people are. If you're hearing my voice right now, it's because you have Facebook or YouTube or one of the audio podcast apps, and this has been uploaded to that platform after the fact. But especially if you're watching live tonight, you're on Facebook or YouTube. That's where all the people are, and I want to stay here as long as I can, which means that for the most part, I'm going to toe the line. And when I leave, it's probably not going to be by choice. It's going to be, I just get my account deleted. I may come back, I may not. We'll see what happens. But if that happens, it's because of something I said, something I posted that they didn't agree with. But the reason that I stay here and I don't just go to those other sites is because over there I can only preach to the choir. Whereas right now I can preach to the unconverted. And that's huge for me. The reason I don't have them alongside Facebook and YouTube is just because I don't have the ambition, the time, or the desire to run 5 or 6 things that are the same, when right now YouTube and Facebook do what I need to do. And I have the added benefit of almost 10,000 people that have liked or followed the page, over 10,000 followers on Facebook now, I guess. I'm still trying to figure out the difference between like and follow on my page. And we broke 2,000 on YouTube. Squib, I am monetized, and I tell you what, I don't get much money out of that either. So even if you were monetized, it's not like you can make money on YouTube anymore.
That's what everybody says. Oh, well, man, I make pennies. Oh, I make $11 a month. But then when they get a video demonetized, they won't hesitate to make a 10-minute video and post it going, they demonetized me. It's the end of the world. Oh my goodness. I need you people to put more money in my Patreon, my PayPal, or else I can't bring you. Seriously. Whatever. Anyhow, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because YouTube is the way it is. On the other end, and I can't do anything about it because YouTube is free. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
If this was a subscription, this was a paid service that I paid for, I could say I'll take my business elsewhere or something like that, right? But that's not the case. So I really don't have much of a leg to stand on, so I'm frustrated. The other thing that I'm frustrated about is that these other platforms just don't have the reach. Like you're talking about getting to all of these people. These other platforms, they're just not competitive. They're not stuff where people want to go. Some of these platforms, all they do is just link to your YouTube video. Well, if your YouTube channel gets taken down, boom, everything that's on that other platform is gone. So what is the point? Yeah. You see, some people won't go over there because there ain't no money in it, and they're just in this for money and whatever it is. I don't really care. It's frustrating from the standpoint of I really don't have a reasonable alternative yet. And it's frustrating because of the way they run their free service.
Yeah. And
I'd be willing to pay for a service if it was reasonable and it didn't censor me. But some of these sites, what they want to charge, their free service is crap, and then their monthly, that's a ridiculous fee. No, and it's like, once again, it comes down to running a business, dude. If you're going to charge $50 for a $5 thing, you're not going to get anybody to buy it. And then when you go, why isn't anybody buying it? Well, it's the same thing. If you're going to say you can only post these kinds of videos, or you're limited to this much space, or no, you can't make any money on this platform, or we're not doing anything to bring people over here, or who's going to take the time to, or you can't actually have a physical copy on our server. We just can't afford server space. So therefore, if it gets dropped on YouTube, it gets dropped over here. And then what's the point? So it's frustrating and YouTube knows they hold all the cards. Facebook knows they hold all the cards. Twitter, Instagram, they know they hold all of the cards. They're holding us hostage.
Sure.
Now, for some people, it's strictly a boohoo money thing. And for other people, I remember when Never Enough Ammo had to delete most of the videos on his channel. And he's there deleting them. He's live on air deleting. He goes, 8 years of my life down the toilet. And that's the way I would feel if they said, you're going to have to delete this if you want to keep your channel. I would feel like, whatever, where am I at right now? 4 years of my life down the toilet, or whatever it is. For some of us, it's more than just a hobby or a way to make money. It's also it's become a part of our lives. But once again, it's free. It's free. What can you do? It's free.
And I'm with you there. I mean, that's my thing about when people make posts on my Facebook page. I let a lot of stuff go because I don't believe in censoring people for the most part. But at the end of the day, it's still my page and I'm still ultimately responsible for it. And if I ever get investigated if I get accused of something, whether I did it or not, and I get investigated, then there's all these posts, these comments on my stuff that I posted that I let stand that may be misconstrued as inciting violence or something like that. And if I didn't take them off there and delete the comment, then I could just see myself being held responsible, somehow being judged for the crap that somebody else posted. And so I don't often delete people's comments, but I do occasionally, especially if it looks like it really is bordering on illegal and being a crime to say what they said. Otherwise, if it's just something that if it's an opinion that I don't believe in, or they want to call me names, I don't care. I let it go. We talked about some of that a couple weeks ago. Paul, you had something you wanted to say. I think you're muted. Still muted. Can't hear you, Paul.
Let me actually turn the microphone on. That might help.
There you go.
I delete comments left, right, and center. And I do it for two reasons. Number one is especially on the Second Amendment Foundation side, people come there for information.
Yeah.
And I want them, when they get there, to get good information. I don't, when they show up there, I don't want the information, especially on stuff I post. Trump's going to be back in office in 2 weeks and Biden's going to be in jail. No, that's not true. Right. Shut up. Go back in your grandma's basement. That's not going to happen.
Now, that may not be disinformation. They may be misinformed, or they're just...
No, that's disinformation. Opinion, right? That's too much crack cocaine is what that is.
Well, I would not disagree, but that's just it. And it's the same with the NFOA page. I'm a moderator there now, or admin, whatever. Yeah, especially if I'm representing somebody else or something bigger than just me, then yeah, everything changes. But even on my personal stuff, on the Sandhills page, I mean, it's still, I don't want to be held responsible for somebody else's diarrhea of the mouth.
Right.
But yet we're forced to see it on our own pages.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to get at is you guys are right. So you can go to those smaller platforms and you're just going to be preaching to like-minded people in a very small audience. Whereas YouTube or Facebook has the people, but man, God forbid you pose maybe an argument to something you don't believe in. That's what they consider mainstream. And I get it. They're a company. They're not publicly held. So they're business and they can choose to let on their sites what they wish to. I get that it's a business, but it still sucks because to use their service, you're forced to either read or listen to the opinions that you don't believe in. And God forbid you have an open debate with somebody and you're on our side or just what they consider the wrong side of the topic. So because you get shut down or you get put in Facebook jail or you get your video taken down. So it seems like I don't know how better to say it, but the radical left can say whatever the hell they want to, but yet we have to behave like people in a church choir or else we get shut down. And that's even though they're a business, they're still, in my opinion, they are still limiting our rights of free speech.
Well, I think that you're right. I don't know if they're limiting our rights to free speech because we're not literally.
How are they not limited? As soon as you say something, they take it down so people can't see it.
I think they are discriminating against us.
Okay.
I don't because the First Amendment says that you don't get locked up for what you say. You can speak out against the government and it's fine. That's what the First Amendment says. So free speech doesn't mean you can say whatever you want ever with no consequence. It just means that you can say that you don't like the government and you can't be locked up on that alone. However, I do think that you're right that they're discriminating against one side and not the other. And we see that time and time again on all the platforms of things that get people banned or posts that get taken down or whatever, or they just cover up a picture, what have you. And then other things get reported and Facebook is like, well, that we reviewed it doesn't violate our community standards. And it's more rancid than the thing that we had that got taken down, right? I think we've all seen that. Or if it hasn't happened to you, it's probably happened to somebody that you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I don't see how that is not discriminatory. When you're picking and choosing who gets to speak and who doesn't, then again, this goes back to that old argument of they want to have the protections of a publisher or the protections of a platform and the powers of a publisher.
You're right. Yeah, and the First Amendment says the government shall not determine. The government shall not decide what your speech is. Says nothing about private companies.
Right. I'm just saying they say it's so horrible and that people shouldn't do this stuff, and then they turn around and do it.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that or argue with that. So, Paul, you've got kind of a unique perspective since you do work with SAF.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of fancy line or how fine of a wire do you have to walk with the posts as far as the pro-gun message and the pro-2A message without things getting taken down or the page getting hit with a misinformation charge versus the red t-shirt moms who can spew all kinds of flat out lies. And believe me, most of them know if it's coming from the upper echelons, they know what they're saying isn't true. They don't care.
I need to everything, unless I write it and source it myself, everything I release is double checked for sources. I mean, I get it from more than one source. And I personally absolutely know it's true. Mm-hmm. If it goes up as SAF on social media, it's 100% true, and I can prove it. The only way, and the only exception is if I write it and it's something I myself am the source of. I wrote it, a story of my own personal experience. That goes up on the gun mag, and SAF shares the gun mag stuff.
Now, when you did that, though, you also clarified, did you not, that it was your personal experience?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
So, I'm going to switch gears here for a second, but I don't want to cut anybody off that's been waiting to talk. Anybody else have anything you want to jump in at this point and say?
Yeah, I'll chime in here real quick, John. Yeah, okay. As far as the misinformation, I will take it on a little bit of a tangent here. When they came out and said with the voting ID, with the voter ID, saying that like the African Americans or the Latinos or the rural community, and I'm in a bunker out here somewhere in rural somewhere, but them saying that we don't have the technology or the means to get there, or we're too stupid to get there. Is basically
I'm sorry, was that extreme?
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't social media. That was our vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was allowed.
Yeah, the social media
her own voters
go.
are too stupid and too backwoods to be able to have access to a photocopier. That came from our vice president.
That one
yeah, exactly. I couldn't remember who it came from. Thank you, Defense Dad, for saying that, because I couldn't remember where that quote came from. But as far as that's just plain old, that is definitely misinformation or disinformation, however you want to take a slant on that one. Because that's kind of borderline in my opinion.
No, I want to respectfully disagree with the fact that it was disinformation, because she wasn't trying to convince people that we're still living in covered wagons or sod houses out here on the prairie. She really isn't smart enough to know better. It's not disinformation if you think that the information is true. It's misinformation. She's misinformed, and she's not smart. It's Pat. I just wanted to say that I would like to forget everything that woman says too. So don't feel bad if you forgot what she said.
Exactly. Okay, I gotta disagree with what you're saying, because she knows what she's saying. She's trying to portray us or Midwesterners as a certain uneducated group or don't have access stuff to do those sorts of things, to portray us in a certain light so people believe it, and then our arguments would come back are disingenuous or BS. She knew exactly what she's saying. She did not know it.
Sandhills, you brought up a good point. It's up to everybody to do their due diligence, to do their own fact checking, to do their own critical thinking.
That's where we're going.
And that personal responsibility is something that has been, less and less and less over the decades. And if people would simply just be responsible, then there's no need to worry about misinformation or disinformation or whatever.
Exactly. And we're going to get there next. But before we do, we've got a latecomer to the room. So, Travis P11, what's up?
Hey, not much, man. Just got back. My friends are on their way back home out west, and I'm joining you guys for the rest of the evening. Sounds like a pretty interesting discussion, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. So thanks for the invite, man.
It's been good so far, and you'll want to go back and catch the beginning.
Oh, I will
on the replay.
Cool.
So Squib, you're exactly right, and that's where we're actually going next, because here's my philosophy, and it's 100% spot on with what Squib just said. when it comes to misinformation, when it comes to disinformation, when it comes to information at all, it is up to you to figure out if what you're getting is good or bad. Since when is anybody else responsible for what you believe besides you? So, and we're going to get into some Hollywood stuff here in a little while too, and that kind of follows along with this. But I could go either on social media or right here on the podcast, or I could walk out to the town square here in my town, and I've got the freedom of speech to say whatever I want to, correct? But here's the thing, I could get up on a soapbox and say that the moon is made out of blue cheese and the sky is falling and the earth is going to end tomorrow and everybody needs to give me a $20 bill before they walk away. And if people believe that, that ain't on me. That's on them for being too stupid to realize a crackpot when they see it. It's the same thing on social media, especially when it's a post like from Babylon Bee or Duffel Blog or one of those satire pages where it's clearly meant to be funny and poke fun, but not actually be serious or convince anybody it's the truth. If you don't do your own due diligence, if you're sharing things based on, and if it's a headline, maybe it's clickbait. If you're sharing things based on the headline and not reading the article before you share it, and yes, I've gotten caught there too. We've all been there, but that's on you for sharing stuff that's not right. It's not on the person that said it. It's on, it's you have to be responsible for the things that you believe. And if you did read the article and you do believe it, again, that's on you. Check more than one source.
And don't be really badly backside hurt when I make fun of you because of it, because I likely will.
Right. Joe Jag out there says, I don't care about mis or disinformation. Most of us check for ourselves. Probably a good percentage of the people hearing my voice right now do check for themselves. But you know as well as I do, if you're on Facebook especially, there are a ton of people out there who see something, click the angry face on it, and then hit share and have no idea what the article says behind that headline. The headline might be the only part of the article that talks about that. It might be completely clickbait, but they got what they wanted from you. You were dumb enough to share it and pass it on. So I'm not saying you shouldn't share it. I'm saying just to know what you're sharing first and do your own research, because it's on you for getting fooled if you don't do some research. Joe's also the one out there earlier that said you can't shut me up very easily. So yeah, well, anybody that's been around here long enough probably knows that.
John, I got a question for you.
Go for it.
Can misinformation, I mean, let's say you make a statement about something and it's misinformation. Can I interpret it as disinformation because I think you've got malicious intent behind it, whereas you might have just simply been wrong? Is it up to the individual's interpretation? And then, if you make a statement about something and I think that it's, malicious and has intention to hurt, you were just maybe inaccurate to what something.
You can get butthurt over it or get mad about it all you want. That's fine. I mean, you have that right as a human being, don't you? We're not going to go too far down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
But let's take a very controversial and polarizing topic, and let's talk about Christian faith. I put up a post that says Jesus Christ is Lord. He's the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh to the Father but by him. There are going to be people that think that I'm wrong, but I just don't know any better. There are going to be people that think I'm flat out lying through my teeth, and they're going to say so. They'll make those comments on the post. And that's fine. It's not my job to argue with those people, right? Well, I choose not to anyway. And then there's going to be people that say amen. So
now if I run a social media platform, let's just say I'm a moderator for the platform, or I'm in charge of one of those crews that sets the rules for the website. Can I say that John over there, he's spreading disinformation because we all know you're not saved, because this study over here says you're not saved, and then therefore we remove your content because we've created this standard that, you see what I'm saying?
No,
like
and I agree. I think
the
the
standard
standard
is
shouldn't be there.
disinformation. What's that?
I think the only standard should be: is it legal? Is it a crime to say that? Because if I made a post, and this is hypothetical, just for example purposes, anybody that wants to listen to this and misconstrue it, if I were to make a post that said, person XYZ is bad and should be murdered, then okay, that's a crime because I'm actually calling for violence, right? And well, I shouldn't say that I think they're bad. I'm going to say they're bad. Meet me here. We're going to go murder that person XYZ. Okay, then that's a intent to commit a crime. That is incitement to violence. That's a very, very bad thing. It's a terroristic threat, I think. I'm not a cop and I'm not a lawyer, but there's a whole list of things that could be called that are all of them illegal and could get me put in a jail cell. So I think the only standard should be on Facebook's part or whoever else, is it a crime? And if it's not a crime, then again, I think Facebook should let us be grown up enough to determine what we want to believe, because some people might be happy believing that the moon's made of blue cheese. What does it hurt?
Everybody knows it's not blue, it's green, man. It's green cheese.
Sometimes, Sandhills, I think you're secretly hacking into my computer and listening to the Speaking Squibbish videos that I haven't published, because you're saying a lot of the things that I've said in both takes of my censored by YouTube video that I haven't published yet.
Now here's the thing, Squib. You and I sometimes go back and forth in here, but at the end of the night, it seems to me like we're always saying the same thing in different words. I think you and I think a lot alike.
Well,
that's scary.
Here's the thing I'll say too, and some of it has to do with the intricacies of the different types of social media.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, you guys, I do, and you all probably have some people in your life that their entire sense of self-worth or everything revolves around their Facebook posts or how many people like their stuff on whatever platform.
Are you saying it's a bad thing? What the hell?
Well, but there's a lot of people that do that, and
there's more to life, man.
when it comes to Facebook specifically, or even Instagram or whatever, if it's in print, it's kind of like a text. Like, you can get subject to disinformation when you're asking a question, because in print you can't sense that person's intonation, how they're saying it. Whereas at least on YouTube, if you make a video and they actually take their time to watch the content of the video, they can tell if you're outright calling for stuff that's bad, or if you're seriously trying to engage in a debate and ask people questions or just give your opinion. But some of the crazies out there, that their entire form of self-worth is related on their Instagram or whatever it is. They're just quick to instigate and call you all sorts of names and turn you in. And I think to some extent, Facebook itself does that to you.
I know personally that if I make a post and if it doesn't get 100 likes in the first hour, then yeah, my whole day's shot.
Well, think about this though. Have you ever received a text from someone at work or a friend that says something, and without hearing the person's voice, how they're saying it,
yeah,
you can like, what is this guy? What's his problem? When it's all so, yep. That's another part of Facebook that it's people got to watch, and you got to, okay, what's he trying to get at? And people don't take the time to do that and have common sense.
Right. And that's the interwebs in general though too.
Right.
And text messaging. I mean, yeah, that's why sometimes some conversations need to be held either on the phone or even better face to face, because sometimes it's not about what you say, but about how you say it. And I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but even Sandhills Sweetheart and I have had instances where I sent her a message, and when she read it in a completely different tone than I had in my mind when I sent it. And the same sentence with varying tone can be either super nice or super mean. And it worked out. She asked me what I meant and verified that I wasn't actually being a jerk, and I mean, but that's the thing when you message somebody, and it's the thing when you're a keyboard commando, right? You can say whatever you want, and even if people do misconstrue it or get butthurt over it, who cares? They don't know you. You don't know them. They're not actually going to reach through your computer monitor or your phone screen and whoop your butt. So
I think you can legislate or regulate slander or threats. What constitutes slander? What constitutes a threat?
Because
either from a legal from a legal definition, or if you're a company and you have a policy like your dress code or things like that, certain things, like don't discuss politics at work or something like that, you can have certain regulations. But as far as hurt feelings, there's no way to legislate or regulate that. That's just like the thought police trying to predict what you're going to do. There's no way to truly do that. So some of this stuff is just a bunch of far-fetched crap. And if somebody's feelings are hurt, it's on them, it's not on me. Just like if somebody doesn't take the time to verify something, it's on them, it's not on me or somebody else. It just, more and more, we're just going away from that. And the problem with some of that is that we're giving protections to certain people that purposely put misinformation, disinformation out there, purposely slander, or purposely violate this rule or whatever it is. We're also encouraging everybody to have their feelings hurt over everything. Every little thing.
And that's part of what I was getting at is like, but the people who they defend their rights to say what they want are the ones that get butthurt. And those of us who are maybe getting taken the wrong way are the ones getting thrown in Facebook jail or getting things demonetized or getting things taken down. And we barely have a chance to say, hey, wait, that's not what I was saying at all.
Right. Well, and that happens too. I mean, I put a couple posts up here a couple days ago on Facebook, and I can't even remember exactly what they said, but it was to the basically what it said was, there's so many people that are saying, cold dead hands, and if they go, if they come door to door to confiscate guns, then I'm going out in a pile of spent brass and all that kind of stuff. And I called out the keyboard warriors saying, that's easy to say, but how many of you with a family truly think that you're the one that's going to get shot or the gun's going to be pointed at you? That's not Gestapo tactics. And clearly this isn't something I think is really on the verge of happening here. And I hope it never does. But if it came to that, they're going to be holding your family at gunpoint, and you've got to decide if laying down your firearm is worth your child dying. And people completely thought that I went woke and I was giving up and called me everything but a white person. And cool. You know what? I don't have enough time in my day to try and explain to narrow-minded people who basically, a lot of them were just butthurt that I told them they were full of crap. But I mean, ultimately, I know too many people that have said, I didn't want to comply, but I did because it wasn't worth getting locked up for 15 years. I mean, it's just, I think we all have to weigh our priorities, right? The trick is to not let it get that far, guys. But if you're only willing to type that, you're going out in a pile of spent brass and that's what you want your blaze of glory to be, but then you won't pick up the phone and call your senator or call your county commissioners and try and fix this crap now, today, then you're full of crap. And not only do I not trust a word you say, but I don't trust you to have my back if it does hit the fan either, because you have no grasp on reality. Is really how I feel about it.
You just described what I call Cheeto Man, sitting on the couch eating Cheetos while we do all the work. You said that was I
should have put Cheeto Man in the post.
You should have. Yeah, you'll get hit for a trademark infringement, I'm sure. But no, you put it real well with that. Don't say one thing and then not do another. Do something so it doesn't get that far, because
if you're a warrior, then let's see you fight right now where the trenches really are, and it's not bullets flying. Those of you that know me know that I will never advocate for slinging lead, but the fight is in the courtrooms and in the legislatures, in the city halls, the state capitol buildings. That's where the fight's going to be. School boards right now, huge fight going on to retake America. So get in the fight, kids, but that doesn't mean you have to pull a trigger. That means that you need to actually do the hard work and take a stand.
Well, and what those keyboard commandos or people who do that stuff don't realize too is, and maybe some people are going to disagree with me, but the reality of it is, when you're on our side of these conversations and we're trying to fight for them, unfortunately, we kind of have to watch what we want to say, and people saying like that crap just makes us look bad, and we're not going to get taken seriously when you do this. So people need to stop and think what they put. It's the equivalent, like if we're going down the 2EA route, which I'm kind of getting at, but it's the equivalent of people airing their dirty laundry and having fights on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You gotta, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to. If you're on the conservative side of anything, you have to really watch your P's and Q's.
Well, Cheeto Man thinks he's tough because in his mind, he's never lost a fight on Facebook.
Yeah, but they just make us look like You're garbage.
Right. They do. They feed the Everytown or the red shirt moms. That what is it? Moms are full want to get in on the action. Something I don't know.
Moms need action.
Moms need action.
Sorry, I mean moms demand.
I think it's moms demand. Moms need action. Probably is not a website that we should send people to.
Well, that's probably a different site.
Some of them probably do.
So, John, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So then, do you think it's the people that are like buying the advertising time, that are making the push for what they think is disinformation on YouTube and Facebook, that is the reason why we can't mention certain topics or talk about certain topics without the content being taken down? Getting a little tinfoil hat here. Do you think that's what it is? Or do you think
I don't think it's really tinfoil hatty. I don't think that's a secret. And also, I mean, the algorithms do most of the work. When you get popped on Facebook or excuse me, on YouTube for a video in July or August that you put up in January, then it's because the algorithm went through and searched keywords. And I don't know if they're searching the tags or if they're actually searching words in the auto-generated captions, but keywords get flagged. And in fact, it was somebody up here earlier tonight had even said that. Where'd it go to? I lost the comment. Michael Frost said on the Facebook side, it's all about the keywords. And that's dead on. So a lot of it's that too, Travis. They'll go through and research, whatever is out there, and then it flags it, right? It pops it up. And like whenever I get a video that gets demonetized, it's the algorithm that does it first, because my next step is request a manual review. Well, that tells me right there that it wasn't manually reviewed to begin with. And 9 times out of 10, when I request that, somebody will actually watch the video and say, you know what? Yeah, this guy's not actually a terrorist, and they'll reverse the decision. Now, normally that takes until the majority of the views are over, and it's just trickle views after that. So, I mean, yeah, my 11 cents on that video gets cut down to 3 or 0. But I mean, again, I'm not the guy that makes the 10-minute videos whining about losing the 11 cents either. But what happens is they go back, they look at it, and then they make a decision from an actual human. And then after that, I don't have any recourse, because us little guys that don't have 1 million plus subscribers, YouTube doesn't really want to talk to very much. Although I've heard Clover's been making some headway talking to YouTube people. So maybe he'll get something done with those algorithms. But yeah. So here's another concept, kind of breaking a little bit away from the code. Well, before we break away from the coronavirus, let's just talk about Dr. What's his name? Flautulent, whatever it is. Dr. Flauta.
Sarducci.
So
Dr. Guido Sarducci?
From the Catholic
Church. That was Reverend Guido Sarducci.
Awesome.
Anyway, so Dr. Fauci has said many, many times things that contradict themselves, right? If you go back and watch everything he's ever said in order, masks, actually, people shouldn't be wearing masks. We need to save those for the healthcare workers. Washing your hands is still the best policy. To now you need masks. To masks don't actually work, but you should still probably wear them just in case. To, well, if one mask is good, wearing two is actually better. You should put a mask over your mask. In fact, if you've got a little mask and then you put a bigger mask over it, then it actually works better. To, well, you shouldn't need a mask now if you're vaccinated. To, well, now that if you're vaccinated, but you can still spread this new variant, so you need to wear a mask even if you do have the vaccine. So what's misinformation out of that?
It's not, because the science says at the time that
right,
that's
the
what you're
science is
supposed to
settled.
do.
Well, yeah,
Play the science card for everything. That's your out, you know.
Yeah, they're out. They can say, well, the science is evolving.
Yeah, the disease has changed. Science at that time was indicating. I'll just start using science says in all my videos. Science says I should put a vertical foregrip on my air pistol.
That's code for we don't know what we're talking about. We're just telling you stuff to get you controlled.
Yeah, anybody who tells you that the science is settled clearly does not understand science.
And now supposedly there's a new strain that's worse than the Delta variant.
The Lambda.
Yeah.
I thought are these fraternity strains or what?
Yeah, it's all Greek to me, but I think that the worst one's going to be the Delta variant because it's on double secret probation.
Yeah, or the Tri-Lambda.
And well, if you get the Delta variant, you'll know that one of the symptoms is wearing a toga. Those of you that don't know about Animal House think I'm nuts right now. It's okay.
It's a classic.
Best John Belushi movie. I don't know. Blues Brothers probably the best Belushi movie, but the Animal House is next.
That's up there.
Yeah,
so we should start playing a new game. We'll call it Science Says. Science says put on your mask. Science says get vaccinated. We'll replace Simon Says with Science Says.
Right.
Well, getting a little bit serious about the COVID part, though. Sorry, I talked over somebody.
Go ahead, Defense Seth.
Well, getting a little bit serious about it. So you've got now they found a legal way for companies to force you to tell them if you've been vaccinated or not. If you haven't, to have to continue to wear a mask. They found a way to legally that doesn't violate the ADA or anything like that. So people, without being but companies have that out, so they can't say they forced their employees to get the shot against their will, but they didn't really have a lot of good options. And now all those people that to keep their jobs felt forced to get the shot may now still be having to wear the mask and everything else because, we were wrong. It doesn't work. So where's the audacity and the BS going to stop with this stuff?
No, I agree. Totally agree. Gary's out there correcting me. It's not the Delta. It's the Delta Tau Chi. So my bad. It's been a long time since I watched Animal House. Still a great movie. Just don't watch it with the kids in the room. It would not follow my my guidelines for language.
Yeah, Delta was a sorority in Revenge of the Nerds with Tri-Lambda.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's where it sounded familiar at. Okay.
I knew that there was something from Delta. Okay, I get it. My bad. Mixing up my movies there. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit now. Because going back to this misinformation thing, and if people want to believe things that are completely made up, and again, it's on you up to a point, but then that's how myths get started, right? So I promised Paul, and Paul dropped out. You might have noticed if you're watching on the screen. Paul is no longer in the room with us. Where he lives up in South Dakota, apparently they're getting a storm. He lost his electricity to his house, and he needs that to run his computer. So, Paul, you probably could jump in with that link on your phone too, but it's cool if you don't, because it's a battery killer. Squib can tell you that. So I get it if you're not in here again, Paul. But anyway, we were talking earlier on Facebook about John Wick and Hollywood movies and things like that. And even when I in the description of this video, maybe not in the description of this one, in a Facebook post, I said, do you know the difference between Hollywood movie magic and real life? Because where do we draw the line with what's misinformation, right? I mean, what if somebody doesn't know better and they watch a Hollywood movie and they think there really is a man from another planet who flies around with his underpants on the outside of his jeans and can leap tall buildings in a single bound? I mean, Is Hollywood responsible for spreading misinformation at that point? Would he have a case to sue Warner Brothers or DC Comics for that? I don't know. I mean, it's laughable, right? But at what point does that not become a joke anymore? At what point do we sue an a firearm manufacturer? I don't know about everybody else. When I think of an arms company, I'm thinking of like a bazaar somewhere in Turkey with RPGs and AK-47s in a crate. So at what point do we allow a case against a firearm manufacturer based on the way that their advertising displays the firearm? Because that's happening now and the courts are allowing it. So why is it so crazy to think that you could sue a Hollywood studio for making a movie that shows that John Wick shooting a suppressed pistol in an airport and it goes choo, 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 instead of actually still having a report just with a reduced volume? You know, that's how myths are made right there. People start to believe what the disinformation campaigns say about suppressors and how evil and bad they are, and how, you know, only the criminals use them and whatever else crap they're trying to spread, right? Do we have a case to actually sue whatever studio put that movie out and say, hey, that's misinformation? You know, can we shut them down for that?
Well, it's not as crazy as it sounds. Think about this scenario. Something happens, or some person who's not supposed to have a gun picks up a gun. They've watched all these movies, and they die in a firefight because they realize, they find out the hard way that, oh my gosh, if I go and start someplace and start shooting, the bad guys don't all just wait their turn to shoot at me one at a time. I mean, it could happen.
The bad guys actually can shoot accurately.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? I mean, honestly, what if somebody believes everything they see in Hollywood and they're a little bit older and they pick up a 6-shot revolver and don't understand why it goes click instead of firing that 7th time or that 14th time?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, but man, common sense is just not there in a lot of places.
Or the Glock, what is it? The Glock 7 that airport.
It's all ceramic, can be detected.
Yeah, undetectable by the airport metal detectors, and costs more than you make in a month.
Yeah, or the revolvers you have to rack the slide on because you have the sound effects,
right? So, or the Glock with the hammer clicking back on Sons of Anarchy that they always did. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, this sounds like a whole bunch of hooey, right? We all know that that's not actually something that we could do. But then again, Bushmaster and therefore Remington is allowed to be sued because of an ad campaign that led to Sandy Hook, or that they're claiming led to Sandy Hook. Never mind the fact that the animal that did that was not right in the head and was just an evil person. But no, we can't blame evil, because that unravels everything else that we've said about personal responsibility. And so we've got to find somebody to pin this on besides the evil person. And so, yeah, let's make Remington look like the bad guy. Let's put them back into bankruptcy.
Yeah, because that person wouldn't have done that if you hadn't saw an ad in the magazine, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the ad somehow made him decide to go do that and murder his mother and then go and murder children in a school. Yeah, no, or I mean, if magazine ads can do that, then why doesn't Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto get sued? And why would they be safe? Because unless it's on Outdoor Channel, I don't think there's any Remington ads that are on TV. So it's got to be a print ad, or he was watching Outdoor Channel. And if you watch Outdoor Channel, you see nothing but the responsible, safe, and ethical use of firearms. So again, one commercial or one magazine ad caused him to do this. Like somehow picking up the gun just magically turned him evil, like it's a talisman. No,
not even close. And I'll take it one step further on this one, John. It's just with like any other manufacturing company. Let's say let's take the Paul Walker case where he died in a car wreck for racing, and they tried to sue the motor company, the guy from Gone in 60, not Gone in 60 Cents, the Fast and Furious franchise. And his mother tried to sue the motor car company, which was, I can't remember which. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he was driving. Yep.
I didn't even know what kind of car he was in.
Yeah, I thought he was in
a race car for the road. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And she tried to sue them because, well, this thing it might be legal for the road, but it's really just a race car in disguise and blah, 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 yakety schmackety. And it's like, well, okay, let's say she wins. And she opens up this great big Pandora's box on any other company that could be sued because somebody was going too fast in a car or anything like that. Boy, that's
so much for Corvettes and Mustangs ever being sold again, or any imported sports car.
Yeah, you can say goodbye to Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, Chargers.
And if you're going to do that, we can say goodbye to Jeeps and Humvees and all other military-style vehicles
and all electric cars, Teslas, and the new F-150 Lightning coming out because, well, it's faster than most gas-powered cars. So,
No, I think that we could eliminate if it saves just one life. Then I think we should do this. We need to govern every vehicle at 30 miles an hour and require an 8-point harness and a helmet to drive the vehicle. But if cars couldn't drive faster than 30 miles an hour, then there would be almost zero fatal car accidents or collisions anyway. And then instead of little cables or guardrails along cliff faces and stuff like that, if we would actually erect entire walls with a catch fence like a NASCAR track, then we could eliminate almost all automobile fatalities. And if it saves just one life, it would be worth it, wouldn't it, to have cars only go 30 miles an hour?
No.
And just to that, the electric cars will be safe because they're calling for all new. They're trying to get it passed where by 2030, all new cars sold, or 50% of all new cars sold will have to be electric.
Well, sure.
Never mind the fact that it takes coal to power the electricity, but the electric cars are all safe, right?
Well, and that'll sure cut down on the number of vehicles on the roads when you can't get it charged because you can't afford to pay your light bill.
Yeah, but how's that
the
for
windmills shut down?
How's that for misinformation or disinformation? Because they're saying how much better the electric cars are for the environment, but it's also increasing the burning of coal and fossil fuels to produce the extra electricity that it's going to take. So
they also have no regard whatsoever for the environment in China or the workers in the lithium mines, the open pit mines to mine that lithium.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get on this far of a tangent, but yes, the lithium mines and stuff, to actually mine that stuff and everything, to get it pulled up out of the ground, processed, and actually put in a vehicle is probably about roughly 2.5 to 3 times the amount of actually building a regular car and firing it off of gasoline. And that's
and we're already leading the world in carbon emissions as it is. But yes, let's be the only country that actually does the stupid crap. But we'll let China do whatever, because heaven forbid we tell them what to do, or the UN tries to tell them what to do, when they know that as a nation we've been emasculated and we will do what we're told because we have no power anymore.
Exactly. And it kind of cycles all back around to disinformation right here. It doesn't matter whether if you're in the gun industry, the car industry, or anything else. What they don't tell you is the stuff that they omit. And that is misinformation, as far as I'm concerned.
It's disinformation by omission. They intentionally don't tell you that.
Well said. Well said.
Again, misinformation by definition cannot be nefarious, it cannot be diabolical, and it cannot be intentional. because once it's intentional, then it becomes disinformation. Misinformation is literally info that's wrong without the intent to deceive. So it goes back to, we all knew that the universe was geocentric, right? That the Earth was the center of the universe, and we all knew it. Well, people on the planet at one point thought that it was flat, and some are still dumb enough to think it today, but we'll let them be for now. But at one point, the world knew that the planet was flat, right? At one point, the world knew that the moon was its own light source. That wasn't disinformation. Nobody was trying to lie about it. They were mistaken. They took the best intel they had and tried to make sense of what they were given. But with more information and better information comes, or more intel, I should say, and better intel comes better decision making, right? And so, again, if you're intentionally trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes, then it can't be misinformation. Misinformation, even if it's crap or completely out there in left field and completely asinine in nature, is still innocent by definition. If you're guilty of spreading misinformation, then you're only guilty of repeating bad intel that you were given. And at any point, if you know better, then it can't be misinformation. And that's really what I want to get into tonight, or rehash tonight at the end of this, is that when the social media sites are so down on misinformation, well, that's an innocent thing. And again, when did it become the government's job to shield us or protect us from ourselves? I know that they are insinuating themselves into the situation. I know that the government is overstepping in almost every way, shape, and form, and they have appointed themselves our protectors, right? And they've taken it upon themselves to protect us from ourselves. But that is not the government's place. Life has risk. One of my Facebook comments today, somebody quoted their old high school teacher, and I turned it into a different post. But life is risky. Everything in life has risk. Excuse me. And so information is the same way, because knowledge is power, right? Nothing is more powerful than knowledge. The pen really is mightier than the sword, which is why the First Amendment is number 1 and the Second Amendment's number 2. Now, they're both important, but at the end of the day, you can ruin people's lives faster and more people's lives at once with the pen than you can with the sword, because information is power. And if you can get people to believe disinformation about somebody, you can ruin their life. If you can, all you have to do is say that somebody was at a frat party back in college, 40 years ago, and that they did something bad, and the whole world thinks that you are a raper and you shouldn't be a Supreme Court justice. And we've seen that on more than one occasion with more than one appointee. So they didn't have to fire a shot to if not ruin, at least tarnish those guys' reputation. And so knowledge is power, and that's where the struggle comes in, right? Because the quest for knowledge should be something you never go out of. You should always want to gain more knowledge. The more you gain, the easier it is for you to differentiate between misinformation and disinformation and true information. You'll know each one of them when you see them. The more you know, right? The old commercial, the more you know. And so that's what they're trying to cut down on, because if you can take the truth and call it a lie, then you've got grounds to take it down. And if you can take a lie, and if the other thing you've convinced people is a lie, then the opposite must be the truth, and you can advance the disinformation under the guise of truth. And pretty soon you've conditioned people to listen to you because you know what's best, and they're not used to thinking for themselves. They're not used to doing for themselves. They become completely dependent on the government's nipple, whether it be for food and clothing and shelter or knowledge or whatever it is. And it's only takes about 2 generations before nobody knows different. You look at Cuba right now, where they can't get access to the internet to even get the word out about what's happening. You shut down the communication, you shut down the exchange of information, and you hold the power. People in China are given government controlled radio and TV to watch, with government propaganda being piped in. And it's literally considered a sin to not listen to the prime minister's word, or when there was an emperor, right? They were considered deity, and to question that was a capital offense in some cases, because they couldn't run the risk of the truth getting out. We see that time and time again. And those of us that have our tinfoil hat handy, and mine's right up here with the chin strap and all, you can say what you want. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's just the fact that we paid attention a little bit in history class. But when I see people trying to be the gatekeeper for what is the truth, it really throws up a red flag for me. And it makes me question, what else are they doing? What else are they hiding? Or what else are they trying to advance that's not true? Because there should be no gatekeepers on the truth. Just like there shouldn't be gatekeepers in the 2A community, we should welcome everybody, no matter who they are, what they look like, where they came from, or who they worship or love, or any of that stuff, or if they don't love or if they don't worship. None of that matters. If they're not a criminal, they should, and they're an American, then they should have their rights. And one of those rights is to defend themselves and stay alive. And they should have the tools to equip themselves to do that. Same thing with the truth. I don't care who you are. The truth is always the best policy, right? And so when you start dictating what is and isn't the truth and what can and can't be said, you start walking a very, very bad road.
But whose versions of the truth? The government or the ones that research things?
That's just it. And that's where knowledge is power. And when you shut down the exchange of knowledge, you control the truth. Exactly right. That's why I want everybody to question things. Question everything. It's good to have your beliefs challenged. Only good things can come of it. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it up. It's 9:30. We were about 7-8 minutes late getting started, but it's gonna take us that long to wind it down. So we'll go about an hour tonight. Does anybody have anything else that you've been waiting to say while I've been monologuing here at the end?
Oh man, I'm good. I just thought it was an interesting topic because I got to be honest, I even had to look up the definition of disinformation and misinformation myself. And you're right, they're similar, but they're not the same thing.
No, not at all. The difference is the intent. The difference is the intent. You can look at a little child, and Defense Dad and Pat have kids. Travis and I don't, but we've been around kids. Travis is a teacher. He's dealt with kids for his entire professional life. And I've known a few, and I still am a kid. But when you take a small child, say 2-3 years old, when they're watching a movie or a TV show, at that point, you have to start explaining the difference between reality and fantasy and TV and movie magic, right? How you can't actually fly. You can't actually shoot people with a gun and then they get back up. You can't actually hit somebody with a sword and, you know, cut them apart or whatever. That's all fake. It's all pretend. They're not really doing that to each other on TV, right? You start to explain that. But then eventually you get to where you understand that, right? And you recognize it, and you can tell the difference as an adult. Hopefully, you can tell the difference between make-believe and reality. Unless there's some sort of what's that movie with the dream within a dream within a dream? Inception. I got to watch that one because it looks screwy as heck.
That's a good movie.
I need to watch it. Or even, I mean, maybe we're plugged into a computer and we're not really here. I don't know. Like the Matrix. But the thing is, as an adult, you should have the tools by now to know what's right and what's wrong, what's true and what's not. And if you see something, a headline or a news article or something that somebody says is fact, then there should be very few people that you just blindly accept that as the truth, as a fact. You should question it. Even if you hear it from me, question it. I don't care. I don't care if you fact check everything that I say, especially if I tell you it's a fact. Most of the stuff that I say is my opinion, which can't be fact checked, Facebook. It's an opinion. One of the earliest things I learned in English class was fact versus opinion. Anyway, I digress. All right. I didn't go through a whole bunch of the comments, but we're going to kind of wrap things up here a little bit. Defense Dad had a great comment out there in the YouTube chat. We'll put that up on the screen. I believe the government has orchestrated this for years to get to the point that people look to them to save us. It's happening now. Yeah, it's been a long game, wouldn't you say, Defense Dad?
Yeah, and if people don't think that's been going on for years, they've almost got it to the point where now people, it's part of what they've been doing is people they're reliant on them for the stimulus checks. They're reliant on them to tell them right for wrong. You were talking earlier or just a minute ago about kids and stuff. This is maybe a little bit of a tangent, but I'm really enjoying at the age my daughter is in. How great would it be to be able to still look at life through the eyes and emotions of a child as they're growing up, because they see right or wrong. They don't see gray areas. They don't they don't see people indistinguished as colors or races. They see if you're a good person or if you're a bad person. At some point, we let ourselves lose that sense of right or wrong. Not all of us, but it happens because we start believing what people tell us rather than listening to your own gut and knowing in your heart what's right or wrong. I wish more people could hold on to that.
I agree. Yeah, and that's something that we have to hold on to or try. Even though I'm not a dad, I still recognize the fact that you have to try and hold on to your kids' innocence as long as you can, even while you prepare them for the fact that the world is an ugly, sometimes vicious place, right? But you want to teach them that there's good and that innocent view is still something to strive for, even if it's not something that you can always expect from other people.
Yeah. Sorry. It's not about so much about protecting their innocence, but it's just they have an outlook on life. They recognize right or wrong, and it's there's no gray area, and they haven't lost that yet. So, because you don't want them to be completely innocent. You want them to realize how life is, but they have that innate sense of right and wrong and what.
Maybe I shouldn't have said innocence. Maybe I should have said simplicity.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to describe it.
Like you said though, it's just black or white. They don't have that whole gray area that as adults we get into where the rules get muddied, right? I mean, in a child's eyes, everything is like a basketball court. It's either a foul or it's not. If you stepped outside the out of bounds line, then it's out of bounds. There's no arguing or arbitration over this. So, and that's what the referee's job is to know the difference, right?
Yep.
So, as a player, I mean, it's your job to know the rules too, so you don't inadvertently commit fouls or hurt somebody. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, I wish more people could see the world in more simple terms, because how many racist kids are out there in the world, like especially under the age of 5, that you learn racism. You don't naturally just come out and hate people. Okay, I shouldn't say that. There will be the occasional small percentage of people who are psychopaths or sociopaths, but aside from that, I mean, kids don't know the difference. They don't care. They just know that there's a friend, and they're still learning. They're still learning that everything is different in the world. Not everybody looks like everybody else, and it's a great thing. And in a kid's mind, it's just the way it is, and it's just cool, and there's nothing bad about it.
Agreed.
What is it Yoda said? How wonderful the mind of a child is.
Nice.
All right. With that, kids, I think we're going to wrap it up. So, real quick here, we will give everybody a chance to wrap things up, and of course give any final thoughts and shameless plugs. But before we do, again, we want to thank our sponsor for bringing us live on YouTube and Facebook. So again, thank you to Decoding Firearms, and that's actually sitting right back here. I've got a copy of it right there. Pat's got his. Look, twinsies. Yeah, we've got, mine's not signed like the one that Tony gave away, but John, if you're still watching, just saying, if you want to send me a couple signed copies, I'd make them prizes or gifts. But Decoding Firearms, an easy to read guide on general gun safety and use, and you can see it up there in the top right corner of the screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive guide to aid new shooters and veterans alike to get up to speed on the safe use of guns. With over 115 illustrations and 266 pages of content, this book is very comprehensive. If you're interested in learning more about Decoding Firearms, you can visit johnpetrolino.com/decoding firearms. That's JOHNPETROLINO.com. And go there and just check out the website. But if you're going straight to the book, then it's /decoding-firearms. Decoding Firearms is available for sale on Amazon as a paperback, which you just saw on the screen, or a full color Kindle version. Be sure to pick up a few copies for your friends and family members that want to get into the shooting world. Decoding Firearms, get yours today. So thank you, Mr. Petrolino, for helping bring us live on both the YouTubes and the Facebook tonight. Excuse me. All right. So real quick here, Pat, you didn't by any chance keep a list, did you?
Oh, you know I did.
Well, I tell you what, here, let me go real quick and let me shout out the Facebook people. We had Michael. We had, I know there's a few more. John Petrolino was on the Facebook side at one point. Bill is out there. Paul Lathrop was there just for a second. And that might be all the Facebook comments I saw come through here on StreamYard. There was a lot more chatter on the YouTube side. So who did we have joining us tonight, Pat, on the YouTube side?
Well, we had Agorizer, we had Jeff Minig, we had Paul Lathrop in here and out there for just a little bit. G23, Keith Gregory, tacos and french fries. I'm hungry again now. Thank you. Defense Dad in here and out there. Jeff Moeller, wheeled and well armed. Wholesome Granny was out there for a split second. That was a new one that I hadn't seen. So
I missed that one.
Sam of Anarchy 92, Jason Stewart, Guns and Barbecue, Joe J, which I hadn't seen that one either, so welcome. Gizzard Gary, and flip the page. We had Midnight Range TM, Justin Gibbons, DJ Play Nice.
What's up, DJ?
So thank you all for coming out. Thank you for commenting, and if we did not see you, please comment the next time.
I know I got to meet DJ Play Nice at the diversity shoot, and I think Joe was there, although he didn't introduce himself as Joe from the comment section. So if we met each other and we shook hands, you got to remind me which guy that I talked to that was you, because I talked to a lot of people that I didn't get names from that day. But I can't wait till we can get another one of those scheduled. So thank all of you out there in the live chat for dropping those comments and making the chat lively like it was tonight. We're going to go through and round everybody up here for the final push. We did lose Squib, but you can go find his channel, and the Speaking Squibbish videos are that would be what I would search for, to be honest, because then you get the right Squibload channel. But Speaking Squibbish they're all fun and entertaining to listen to, and every one of those that I listen to makes me think more and more that Squib and I really do look at the world basically through the same lens. He just he words things differently than me, that's all. And then we lost Paul because of the power outage at his house up there in South Dakota, so hopefully everything comes out okay. I've got a lot of family in South Dakota and a few friends, in Sioux Falls specifically, and a few friends too. Joe thought Tony was taller. That's because his camera angle is always pointed upwards when he's on a podcast, Joe. So kind of like the way that in The Green Mile, when they shot Michael Clark Duncan, they always put the camera down, pointing up at him to make him look bigger, and then they always pointed down at Hanks so that it made it look like he was towering over Tom Hanks, who's pretty tall himself. But Tony would look a lot taller too. He's got the same thing going on that I do. I don't look as tall as I really am just because I'm squarish. So I don't even know what I was saying. We're just going to go around and let everybody say goodnight. Travis, you were the last in. We'll let you be the first out.
Thanks, man. Real quick, I am going to be giving away a 1911 Saturday. Yeah, Saturday evening, we're going to go live. So be watching that over on my channel, Travis P11. I'm going to be getting Defense Dad in on this one to help me check the entries in the box, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Details for that giveaway are over on my channel, so check it out. And thank you for the invite.
Do not check it out. Do not go watch that video. Do not learn how to get your name in. There's already too many people have put their names in. The only name that matters is mine.
Yes.
I want to win that gun. I'm feeling kind of lucky after the last Patreon giveaway that Travis did. So maybe my luck's going to hold, because the last time I won 2 times in a row. So this time, maybe I'll win 2 times in a row. Just saying.
Hey, man, not a chance. He's having me audit it, and my name's in it.
What? So basically what you're saying is after a certain point in the night, you're going to say that the counting has shut down, send everybody home, and then you're going to find a whole bunch more votes for you overnight?
That's
might mean an ammo box somewhere.
I don't know, but you can come out, John. You can come out to my place, and you can be the overseer representing your political party to make sure that we're counting ballots correctly.
Man, I wish I could.
Pat, you can come out too. Hell, let's just have a party in my house.
This is now with Squib and Paul both gone. We this is turning into an all chat. Yep, yep. We're like the big four for the big red 4.
Well, what's left of the Big 12? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole
we can be halfway
the Big 10 or whatever. Hell, I can't keep up anymore with these networks.
We're halfway to the Big 8, just the 4 of us. Although Pat's not that big, so
every team needs every team needs a T holder.
That's right. Place kicker.
Don't worry, Pat, you can still let her.
We'll sign him on as the highest paid water boy in history.
Special teams, baby. Special teams. Here we go.
All right, Pat, we'll give you a chance to wrap things up here real quick.
Yeah, I'm the big half. I'll put it that way. Yeah, thanks for having me on tonight, John. It was great conversation tonight. It definitely stirred the pot a little bit, so that's always a good thing. Yeah. So always got to question things.
I think so. I think that we need to stir the pot more, if nothing else, to make people question things.
Exactly. Shameless plug right here. Got a couple of new videos hopefully dropping this weekend. If not, the beginning of the week, we've got our big festival here in town, and where I live, near an undisclosed location near my bunker. And going to be dropping some ATV videos and a gun video. So yeah, definitely like the outdoors. So not just gun stuff. So come on over and check it out, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 days.
Very cool. Thanks for being here, Pat. All right, Defense Dad, you're up.
Oh, thanks for having me. I managed to not cuss tonight. You keep making it tough.
I know.
Yeah. Other than that,
you know what? Here's the thing: we do our best. If one slips, then one slips. It's not the end of the world. We do our best.
But yeah, I think it was a good conversation. Had fun. If you guys want to check out, I'm back making videos. I was on a bit of a hiatus. Hey, if I could talk today, hiatus.
Did you have a hiatal hernia?
I speak much better on the video because I can cut. I can cut takes. I talk good on video. Yeah. But check it out, and then there'll be more stuff coming. I did on Instagram. If you guys want to check it out, I'm not big enough channel yet to be able to do polls or anything. So If you want to check out Instagram, I got a thing going. If you have any, just email me at defensedad1@gmail.com. If you have any questions about me or the channel, please keep them to the channel though. And I'll end up doing like a, not live, but like a vlog style video, like reading the questions and answering the ones that are not highly inappropriate. I might answer some of those too.
Cool. Can't wait for that. All right. And then I guess since there's only 4 of us, I'm batting cleanup. So tune in every Thursday night, 8:00 Central Time, the only time zone that matters, to find us right here on the Get Off My Lawn podcast. If you're catching this on replay, or you're catching this on audio, then it definitely wasn't nice, Pat. We're not going to read that out loud, but those of you that have your screen on and can see Pat's shirt, that was funny. There you go. So if you're catching this on audio, then it definitely isn't live. And if you'd like to catch it live, we'd like to have you catch it live. That way you can actually talk to us in the comments and we can talk back to you. And you never know. I've met a lot of everybody that I know on this podcast. I met because I started talking to people in the comments, and that's where I met Travis, which led to all this. And so I'm not saying he's responsible for this podcast. What I'm saying is I wouldn't be here without him. And so you never know what's going to happen when you come join us live and make some friends and just have a good time. It's kind of like how do I say it? It's kind of like tailgating. Like we're in here in the actual podcast, but out there in the chat, it's kind of like tailgating in the parking lot of the stadium where you don't have tickets to go in, but you still get to hang out and have a lot of fun. And then you still get to watch it on your screen. But the best part is when it's us, you can actually have a direct pipeline to the sidelines, right? And talk right to us. So it's even better than watching the game from the tailgate. But I can't think of a better way to describe the party in the chat that sometimes happens than the tailgate outside the stadium. So make sure you're joining in on that and dropping those comments so that we know you're out there. And we'd love to see more and more people. I make the joke that we go live every week to tens of people. And if you guys would help me share this and spread the word, get some friends to come watch live with you, then we could maybe eventually go out to 100 or dare I say hundreds of people when we go live every week. How cool would that be? That's my goal, is to get the chat so fast that I can't keep up and read all the questions, or whoever is trying to keep up, because you know how I'm terrible. When I'm running my mouth, I'm not reading. But when we get my beautiful bride back in the producer's seat, she's the one that kind of fields all the comments. And I want it to get so busy in there with so many people that she can't keep up. That would be amazing. But I can't do it myself. I need you to help share, spread the word, tell everybody about this fun podcast. And sometimes we even make sense on it. And get your friends to come hang out with you and join you and watch it live. Make it a watch party. That'd be cool, like they do on the Bachelor and some of those things where people get together and just hang out and watch it all together. I think a watch party would be cool. I want to find out that somebody's out there watching us and dropping the live comments, and you've got a watch party going on in your home or wherever you are. That is your homework for weeks to come. Next week, we're going to talk about dispelling the myth, or we're going to try to dispel it anyway, that so many people out there think that because you own a gun, especially if you have a carry permit, that or you're in a state where you don't need a permit, but you just do carry for self-defense. So many people think that you do that because you want to be Frank Castle, the Punisher, or Batman, or Paul Kersey from Death Wish, or whatever. Totally crap. We all know it's crap, but we're going to talk about that, talk about the people that think that, talk about why they think it. Got some fun guests. I've got a firearms instructor hopefully lined up. She may be late, but hopefully she does get to join us. And I've also got a friend of mine coming in for the first time who is a karate sensei and a gun guy. And I think he'll be a welcome addition to the panel. I don't know if we can make him a regular, but it's going to be fun having him in here and getting his take on martial arts and defense and just the mindset of you don't want to be a vigilante. That's not the reason that you learn that, and that's not the reason we carry a gun. So we're going to get in on that in 2 weeks if the scheduling works. We're planning on revisiting the Walk the Talk America guys, because we didn't even get into one of the main topics we wanted to get into last time with them. So we should have Jake and Mike back from Walk the Talk America. That's in 2 weeks. And who knows what's coming? I can't plan that far ahead. So I'm happy to have the next 2 weeks planned out. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you're going over to blackswantactical.com and getting the merchandise, get that Sandhills shooter stuff while it lasts, get the Sandhills sweetheart stuff and show her some love. If you do get that stuff and you're rocking the coffee cup or the hat, shirt, sweatshirt, whatever you got, post some pictures up. Go post them up in the group, the Get Off My Lawn group on Facebook. And if you don't have access to that, because some people don't have Facebook, but they have a twin brother who does, and that's just as good. So not naming names, Pat, but but anyway, I'd love to see those pictures come in the Get Off My Lawn group on Facebook. You can find that from my page or Sandhills Sweetheart. If you're not a member of that group, get those Her Fight Is My Fight or Not Today Cancer pictures posted up there. That would be cool. I can't wait to see that album grow. I think that's it. If you're in Nebraska and you're not a member of Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, there's no reason not to be. It's free, and we are the group that actually goes to get the good laws passed and the bad laws stopped as far as firearm owners and our rights go here in Nebraska. We do a lot of education and that kind of fun stuff too. And as director of media, it's my job to help get the word out. And I want to find out that there's people from all 93 counties that know about us, are talking about us, and talking about the stuff that we're doing. So that means, again, can't do it without you. Need you as members to spread the word and talk about it. Go to nebraskafirearms.org. Join. It's free. It always will be. And those of us that volunteer, those of us that are on the board, those free membership dues, that's what we get paid out of. We're not lining our own pockets to do this. All right. If you have other questions, send me an email, nesandhillsmedia@gmail.com, or drop a comment down below because the live chat is about to shut down. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you next week, 8:00 Central Time, Thursday night, for another Get Off My Lawn podcast. It's time for us to go. You know what you got to do. Get off my lawn.